A single sound. Millions of years ago, one roar tore through the primeval jungle, and every creature fell silent. Not from fear alone, from recognition. The apex had arrived, and the food chain would never be the same. Listen closely. Beneath the amber mist, insects stop mid-song, wings freeze, even the wind holds its breath. One single sound froze an entire epoch. Why did every living thing surrender to that one voice? To understand that silence, we must travel back. Hace millones de años, long before human eyes opened. The earth wore a different skin then. A mundo perdido del Mesozoico, thick with breath and heat. Imagine a jungle without borders, ferns tall as cathedrals, cycads spiraling toward a sky heavy with pollen. The air itself was richer, dense with oxygen, feeding lungs the size of carriages, every leaf a revolution. In this cauldron of green, life did not whisper, it thundered. Insects long as human forearms hovered between trunks. Amphibians heavy as oxen slid through black water, while reptilian kings walked with the slow certainty of gods. Sound in this world was currency, a grammar. Every chirp, every rumble, every splash carried meaning and warning. Ecologists call this the acoustic signature of a biome. In the Mesozoic, it was symphonic and precise. And yet, silence was survival. To fall quiet was to disappear. The smallest creatures learned this first lesson. Freeze, and you might live another hour. Move, and you might feed a jaw the size of a doorway. The jungle held two states, song and hush. Between them, a thin membrane. The predator was the needle piercing it. But before the roar we came to hear, a stranger predator ruled. Before the tyrant, there was the ambusher. Long-limbed, silent-footed, a hunter whose name paleontologists etched onto stone slabs across 3 continents. It did not chase. It waited. Its jaw was not built for speed. It was built for closure. Rows of blade-like teeth interlocked with mathematical cruelty. Each fang curved backward, so flesh, once caught, could only travel inward. Modern reconstructions estimate a crushing bite force, strong enough to fold bone like wet parchment. Fossil evidence tells the story only in whispers of stone. Trackways preserved in ancient mud show the creature moving in slow, deliberate arcs. Prey trails cross and stop. Simply stop. As if the animal ahead had been erased between 2 heartbeats. Its territory was vast, endless. Isotope analysis of tooth enamel suggests it ranged across floodplains and forest edges, following migrating herds through seasons. And it spoke. Not in words, but in a low, sub-audible pulse, a vibration through soil and root, warning rivals from miles away. This is why prey animals of that age evolved a peculiar instinct. Not flight. Stillness. Absolute muscular stillness. The kind that stops even the pupils from dilating, freezing every breath in place. Los secretos de la supervivencia were written in that posture. Yet this hunter was about to meet a rival. To understand what came next, we must walk the parade of the living, a Mesozoic cathedral of coexistence. Picture the herbivore giants, necks like suspension bridges swaying above the canopy, harvesting leaves other creatures could never reach. Their footsteps left craters. Their digestion generated heat like furnaces. Entire ecosystems of insects lived quietly on their backs. Below them moved the armored defenders, low-slung, plated, tails weaponized into heavy clubs of solid ancient bone. When threatened, they did not run. They rotated, presenting spikes, plates, ridges, a living fortress on 4 columns. Beneath the ferns, in burrows lined with feathers and fur, the first true mammals hid. Small, warm, nocturnal. Their eyes evolved for darkness because the day belonged to others. They ate insects and eggs, waiting an age. Above, the sky belonged to the pterosaurs, wings wider than fishing boats, skulls crested like ancient ship prows. Their shadows crossed the forest floor in silent sweeps, and every small creature below flinched at the passing shape. This was the ecological pyramid, broad at the base, narrow at the peak. Producers, consumers, predators, layered together. A structure so stable it endured for tens of millions of years. Criaturas prehistóricas woven into a living tapestry. But eternity is an illusion. Every pyramid rests on assumptions the Mesozoic itself had never dared to question. The great assumption was that the land, and not the sky above, remained the ultimate theater of power. Then something rose from beneath the waves. The oceans of that lost world were not passive. They were arenas. In them swam predators that dwarfed anything walking on shore. The mosasaurs, serpentine bodies 15 meters long, jaws double-hinged, capable of swallowing prey nearly whole. They cruised shallow seas like living submarines, silent and vast. When they surfaced, entire flocks of seabirds scattered as if from a sudden explosion above the trembling water. Deeper still cruised the ancient pliosaurs, barrel-chested giants, 4 massive flippers driving them through the cold black depths. Their skulls alone could measure the length of a grown man. When they bit, the sound traveled kilometers. And on land, la ciencia moderna revela something far stranger. Dinosaurs were not the scaled brutes of imagination. Many wore feathers, delicate, iridescent, structural. Some flashed color for courtship. Others insulated themselves against the cold nights. Modern phylogenetics has rewritten the entire family tree. Birds are not descendants of dinosaurs. Birds are dinosaurs themselves. Living, breathing, singing survivors of a lineage we once thought long dead, now soaring across every modern sky. And here is the discovery that changes everything. Recent CT scans of fossil skulls have revealed hidden resonance chambers, hollow architectures inside the cranium, structures that in life amplified sound the way a cello amplifies a trembling string. The dinosaurs sang. They boomed. They vibrated the air with calls tuned to precise specific frequencies of the wild. Some low enough to travel across valleys. Some high enough to signal mates across the vast canopy layers. This changes what the roar actually was. Not noise. It was language. Architecture. A weapon of ancient design. Now, imagine the hunt. Not a chase, but a composition. Coordinated predators moving through undergrowth in staggered formation. Trackways preserved in ancient stone show it clearly. Parallel prints, matched strides, clear evidence of prehistoric communication. They approach a herd of long-necked giants at the edge of a shallow lake. The herbivores drink, calm, unaware. Above them, the sky is pale gold. Below, the water reflects them like a perfect silver mirror. One predator flanks left, another right. A third holds the center, hidden low within the towering ferns. The leader lifts its great head. Chest expands. Resonance chambers fill with air. And it releases the sound. Not loud in the ordinary sense. Deep. Physical. A frequency that strikes the rib cage before it reaches the ears. The herbivores freeze. Not out of choice, but because their nervous systems have been overridden. Muscles lock. This is the pattern interrupt, a biological hack, an acoustic weapon that breaks the flight response before it starts. The prey cannot run because its body will not obey. And in that suspended second, the pack strikes. The collision is brief. Water erupts. Necks whip. Armored defenders rotate at the herd's edge, tails swinging. Too far. The chosen target is already down. The jungle around them holds its silence like a single held breath. Two apex titans. One moment, one sound. This is how the food chain was rewritten. Not by teeth alone. By acoustics. By the mastery of the pause between heartbeats. But nothing prepared them for the sky above. 66 million years ago, a shadow crossed the earth no roar could answer. An object from beyond the atmosphere. 10 kilometers wide, traveling at cosmic velocity. Silent. Until it wasn't. The impact struck what is now Yucatan. In a single instant, the crust of the planet vaporized. A crater 180 kilometers wide opened, where a shallow sea had been. The energy released equaled billions of nuclear weapons detonating at once. The atmosphere itself caught fire. Ejecta rained down through the sky as molten glass, scorching everything below. Forests thousands of kilometers away ignited spontaneously. The global firestorm consumed entire continents within only a few weeks. Then came the darkness. Ash and sulfur aerosols climbed into the stratosphere, veiling the sun from view. Temperatures plunged across the world. Photosynthesis, the foundation of every food chain on Earth, faltered, then failed. The herbivores starved first. Their sheer size, once a shield, became a curse. They needed tons of vegetation. There was none to eat. Within months, the giants collapsed in silence beside dry riverbeds. The predators followed. There was nothing left to hunt. The great apex titans, whose roars once froze entire valleys, wandered. Ash-covered plains, weakening. One by one, they lay down. One by one, they stopped. Silence claimed the world. Somewhere, in some final grove, one last roar echoed into the falling ash. It carried no message. It received no answer, only fading into a silence that would last, in geological terms, forevermore. The pyramid collapsed from the top down, then from the middle, then finally from its shattered base. 3/4 of all species on Earth vanished. The Mesozoic ended not with a war, but with an absence. What survived tells the strangest story. In the burrows, small mammals waited, their metabolism low, their needs remarkably modest. They ate what they could, seeds, insects, roots hidden underground, and through sheer patience, they endured. In the water, certain amphibians and fish persisted in refuges where the temperature held stable and constant. Deep lakes, sheltered coasts. Life clung stubbornly to the quiet margins the great cataclysm had somehow missed. In the branches of scorched trees, something remarkable stirred. A small group of feathered dinosaurs, light-boned and warm-blooded, adapted. Their descendants would eventually rise again, not as tyrants, but as singers, as delicate and undeniable birds. Every songbird you have ever heard is a living, breathing echo of the vanished Mesozoic world above. Every dawn chorus is, in a sense, the roar continued, softened, transposed, but unbroken across 66 million years.
This is what modern paleoacoustics begins to prove. Researchers using CT imaging reconstruct the vocal architectures of extinct species. They model airflow through ancient fossilized skulls. They estimate resonance frequencies with careful, patient, computational precision throughout. And when those ancient frequencies are rendered as living sound, we hear something profoundly, unsettlingly uncanny return.
Low booms, trembling calls, deep notes that seem to rise from somewhere far beneath the buried world. La ciencia moderna revela that the ancient sky was never silent. It was, in truth, orchestral. Isotope evidence pins the extinction timing with astonishing accuracy. Layers of iridium clay mark the impact horizon worldwide. Fossilized pollen shows the collapse of plant communities within a single season. The transition unfolded in a geological blink. From Mesozoic to Cenozoic in a heartbeat. What the silence taught evolution was ruthless. Size is not safety. Dominance is not permanence. The loudest voice in the ecosystem is often the first to be lost forever. Small, patient, adaptable. These were the survivor's virtues. One epoch ended, and another was already quietly waking. The roar, then, becomes a metaphor, a threshold marker. Every extinction event in deep time has its version, its own pattern interrupt. A moment when the accumulated logic of an ecosystem is broken by something entirely outside. Ecologists studying modern jungles have begun to recognize similar signatures. Certain apex species today occupy ancient roles. Jaguars, tigers, eagles descended almost directly from Mesozoic templates. Their vocalizations shaped the behavior of every surrounding creature. Remove the apex, and the whole system unravels. Add a new one, and the system rewrites itself completely. This is not theory. It is observed. It is documented. It is happening now across every planetary biome. The modern jungles still remember. In the freeze response of a deer at the sound of a distant call. In the way birds fall silent when a hawk crosses the canopy above them in sudden shadow. In the tension that runs through every food web the moment a returning predator makes its presence known. What humans inherit from that ancient silence is a warning. Ecosystems are not permanent. Pyramids collapse. Roars fade. When they fade, entire architectures of life fade with them. The next apex predator already stirs in shadow. Subscribe to continue the journey into a world that no longer exists. Activate the bell for the next chapter. Next episode, we descend into a new epoch to meet the beast that hunted the hunters themselves. A predator whose story rewrites everything you thought you knew about the age of ice and shadow. The next chapter of Mundo Prehistorico begins soon.